Picture this. 20,000 years ago, there were no houses, no farming, no permanent home, just a cave and a fire. And yet, in this person's hands, there's a clay pot. Here's the part that stunned scientists. This pot was made before humans even figured out farming. Today we're digging into a secret that stayed buried underground for thousands of years. One that quietly rewrote everything we thought we knew about how civilization actually began. This story starts in a cave in China called Xianren Cave, literally Immortal's Cave. Archaeologists first dug here back in the 1960s, but the real bombshell dropped in 2012 when scientists ran carbon dating on the pottery fragments they found there. The result? These shards were 20,000 years old. That number broke the internet in the archaeology world, because up until then, everyone assumed pottery only showed up once humans learned farming and started settling down in one place. But this was smack in the middle of the Ice Age. Mammoths were roaming around, glaciers were melting, sea levels were completely different from today, and somehow, in the middle of all that chaos, humans were already firing clay into pots. So here's the real question. If life was already this hard, if every single day was a fight just to stay warm and stay fed, why would anyone bother making a pot? The answer is cooking. During the Ice Age, food was scarce and rough. People were eating whatever they could find: wild grains, roots, bones from hunted animals, tough plant matter that most of us wouldn't even recognize as food today. Raw food is hard to digest, and you don't get much energy out of it, which matters a lot when every calorie is a matter of survival. But once people figured out they could boil things in a clay pot filled with water, everything changed. Food became way easier to digest. Tough or even mildly toxic grains became safe to eat, and bones could be boiled down to pull out marrow and fat that would have otherwise gone to waste. This wasn't some random craft project someone did for fun by the fire. It was survival tech, in the truest sense of the word. Whichever group figured this out first had a real advantage over everyone else. More food, more energy, better odds of survival, and probably fewer illnesses from eating things raw that were never meant to be eaten raw. After China, the next big name in this story is Japan. The Jomon people were making their own pottery about 16,500 years ago, and it wasn't just functional. It actually had style. Jomon literally means cord-marked, because these people would wrap rope around wet clay to press unique patterns into it before firing it. This wasn't just cookware, it was art, made by people who clearly took pride in what they were creating. And here's the kicker. The Jomon were still hunter-gatherers. No farming yet, no permanent cities, no written language. And they were already creating pottery beautiful enough to sit behind glass in a museum today, thousands of years later, with people staring at it in total admiration. Around the same broad era, similar independent breakthroughs were happening in other parts of the world too, different groups of humans, with no contact with each other, arriving at the same basic idea. Fire plus clay equals a tool that changes everything. Now, if you've been following along, you're probably picturing the timeline like this. Farming happens, people settle down, then they invent pottery, then civilization kicks off. That's what most textbooks taught for decades, and honestly, it made sense on paper. But the real order was actually the opposite. Pottery came first, then thousands more years of hunting and gathering continued exactly as before, and only much later, sometimes thousands of years later, did farming finally show up. What that really tells us is that humans invented pottery purely out of necessity and intelligence, not because they were living some advanced, settled, civilized lifestyle. It proves that Stone Age humans were way smarter, way more adaptable, and way more resourceful than we usually give them credit for in movies and textbooks that like to paint them as primitive and simple-minded. This one discovery changed the entire trajectory of human history, even if it took modern science thousands of years to notice it happened. That same basic idea, fire, clay, and water, eventually led to the invention of the potter's wheel in Mesopotamia about 6,000 years ago, which made pottery faster and more precise to produce. It led to pottery being used for trade and storage across Egypt and the Indus Valley, letting people preserve grain, oil, and water for much longer than before. And today, every single cup, plate, bowl, or decorative piece you own in your kitchen is built on a technique that is, at its core, 20,000 years old. So next time you pick up your coffee mug in the morning, remember, You're literally holding onto technology that survived the Ice Age, survived the rise and fall of entire civilizations, and somehow made it all the way to your kitchen counter completely unchanged in its basic idea. So next time someone says ancient people didn't know anything, that they were just simple cavemen stumbling around, show them this video. Because a person with basically nothing, no tools, no writing, no permanent home, took clay and fire and created something that is still part of our daily lives, 20,000 years later. That's not primitive. That's genius. If this blew your mind as much as it blew mine, hit that like button and drop a comment. If you were that Ice Age human, sitting by a fire with nothing but clay and water, what's the first thing you would have invented? And make sure you subscribe, because next time we're diving into an ancient civilization that changed everything we thought we knew about human history.